You know, this is a RantCast first, like talking to a real and actual bunny IRL, which I respect it. See, I'm actually a lich IRL, allegedly.
The
So
great thing about being online is nobody knows you're actually a bunny rabbit. That's why it's taken me so long to work on any of my fiction because it's hard to type with little tiny. Okay, you
the
can't hear.
pause,
Yeah,
no
okay.
thumbs. Yeah, you can't hit the space bar.
No thumb. It's also why I'm bad at video games. The only thing that I think is kind of unreasonable is the main thing that everyone's complained about is her quad blade tornado attack
Mm,
because basically if you see her charging it up and you don't immediately start sprinting, like I forget the trick to it exactly, but the timing on how to actually not get hit on it is just phenomenally tight.
mm,
And if you don't time it correctly, you will get caught in at least two of the blade tornadoes, and you will die.
got it. Got it. Yeah, I. Or if you're like mid getting greedy with an attack sequence, right? Like you're not gonna have the time to like get out of your attack sequence and run. Yeah, I can see
It's
that.
also just kind of like a bit dog shit if you're using a heavy weapon.
Hmm.
Like I'm using the Dark Moon sword, the magic blue sword that's in every FromSoft game.
I
That
mean,
sucker's big and heavy and slow.
yeah.
Fighting her is a huge pain in the dick.
I've used katanas and I've never regretted my decision. Um,
If you said you haven't gotten to her,
yeah.
you are at a distinct advantage compared to most because bleed works very nicely on her, I understand.
Bleed has been quite frankly OP on all of the bosses I fight because it seems to do like a percentage chunk of health.
Oh yeah, when bleed procs, it's just a percentage health chunk
Yeah,
off.
yeah, and so like there was the one bleed boss who was supposed to be pretty rough, and they did give me a little bit of a run for my money. Um,
Morgos,
yeah,
the
yeah, like more.
trident guy?
Yeah, yeah, like you can fight him in like a basement, and then in the basement,
I
like I one
actually,
shot at him, and then you can fight him where he's like praying to like a dead thing or whatever.
dragon or something.
Yeah, and you fight him, and I like hit like I kind of banged my head on that for a little bit, and then I found out you can get an item that just stops his blood rune thing, and then like
What?
it trivialized him. But like even him, I was just like taking to Pound Town. Um, it was just like you'd get to a point where he'd like count to three, and if you weren't like actively chugging potions, you'd die. So,
Mm.
so, but that was hug. Oh yeah.
But yeah, the Melania is really like the only boss that I've really struggled against.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten to a point where I kind of said to myself, "Nah, actually, I'm good. We can just not. We can just not do this. It's fine."
Like not play in general, or just like gave up on the boss fights.
On that particular boss, I went back over to the other area I hadn't explored yet instead.
Hmm.
Okay, actually, there's one thing ah so mad about. Okay, there's a couple things that I'm mad about. Like I don't like that like there are items that are way off over there and super easy to miss that are key to certain encounters or for like a certain NPC.
There are, I mean, there's a little bit of that, and like it's not because the Soulsborne games are typically very linear. It's so easy to miss all that shit, and they're very scant in the storytelling, so they're not telling you much of anything. And if you miss this one NPC who's hanging out underneath this cliff over here in the corner, and they vaguely allude to something, you'll never know what the fuck you're looking for. Um, I don't know. Hot take incoming. I don't think Elden Ring's the best game they've ever made. I know. I know.
Fine.
I know. It's probably
Dark
the
Souls 1 is still my favorite.
Bloodborne and Sekiro.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like
Actually, you're gonna hate this. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I tried Sekiro. I didn't. I couldn't get into it. I'm sorry.
No, I know. No, see. I actually love that like the stealth mechanics from Sekiro made their way into Elden Ring. Um, but like I'm not zipping around on grappling hooks like an actual ninja, so it's like less fun to overworld travel. And the bosses, quite frankly, don't punish me as hard as I would like to be punished, like they do in Sekiro.
Fair enough.
So like I don't know. It's just as an experience, Elden Ring is very fun, but as a game, there's a lot of like dicking around and doing nothing for 6 hours, and then like remembering you should be fighting a boss. That's maybe a me thing, and other
Well,
people are like,
sandbox thing, unfortunately.
it's such a it's so bizarre because the specific case of Elden Ring, I think the sandbox makes it a far more approachable game for people who aren't indoctrinated into the sort of Soulsborne cult, because the ability to like fuck off and go do something elsewhere when you're beating your head against a wall does it like you don't burn out as easily. And I think that goes a really long way in like making the game feel more approachable. You can grind more, you can level more, you can go find an OP weapon. It like undermines some of that like beating your head into a wall. Like if you're stuck on Father Gas Can in Bloodborne when you first encounter him, like you're stuck on Gas Can. Like you can run around Yarnum in a few circles early on and like grind and keep like grinding up blood echoes and like pumping your stats, but like you're seeing the same section over and over and over again, and you're just banging your head into that wall. And that's pretty much true of all the bosses all the way up until you unlock the Chalice dungeons, where you can like, okay, I'm done fighting this boss, I'm gonna go do some Chalice dungeons for a little bit. But like that's it. With the Elden Ring formula, it facilitates that really well. And so like it's kind of like you get this one step forward, one step back, because what's really good about like, whatever, pick your favorite Soulsborne game, right? Is the way the story's told. I think Bloodborne does it best. Folks can disagree. That's fine. Like you're gonna have your favorite game, but it's very personal to like the way you progress through Yarnum is itself telling you the story. Like the way the maps fit together, how you're going through at one point Old Yarnum and you see everything burnt down. Like you're getting this like full story, and you have to get it. You're immersed in it. In Elden Ring, it's very easy to overlook a lot of that visual storytelling because you're just like kind of dicking around a sandbox.
Yeah, and that's kind of the sandbox curse, is like getting kind of sidetracked and just dicking around and just like. And on some level, I do think that kind of detracts from the tightness of Soulsborne storytelling
Right.
to an extent,
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. Like I'm not, because there's like no wasted effort in a Soulsborne story. Like it's all very intricately placed. Like you pick up this article of clothing here, and you
Yeah.
read the description on this article of clothing, and you get like this little bit of story exactly when you're supposed to, right?
Yeah,
And
and it's also partially an issue when it comes to NPCs showing up again. It's like, who are you again? I haven't seen you for 20 hours.
right, right, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Uh,
Because you decided to go off in the other direction.
hmm Yeah, or like I decided that I needed to get all of the katanas in the game, so I went on like a random excursion to just get every katana before I picked up, so that I could see which katana I liked the most and play with that one. Um, and
Which katana is your favorite, and why
Moonveil.
is it Moonveil?
Yeah, yeah, it's just shooting moon lasers at people. It never gets old. And how like hard the stagger is on it
I
is it's
remember, sorry, go on.
no every boss is like two Moonveil like Ijitsus away from being staggered every time everywhere, and it's like, oh, this boss was so difficult, like they were on a horse, and I'm like, yeah, and they were at the perfect length for like two Ijitsu strikes to fall off their goddamn horse and get stabbed in the neck and then have a bleed proc.
I
Sorry.
remember the KSBD artist, Abaddon, talking about it and saying, and I quote, I set out to play a mage, and I have been what I can only describe as being forcibly turned into Virgil from Devil May Cry. I have magic oral swords floating around me and a katana that shoots blue wave lasers.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I went into it like knowing who I am. Like I can get tempted by a huge sword too, but like my heart, I'm like, you have huge sword or katana, you know. And every now and then I looked over at the people who had like the sword made out of tinier swords. Uh it's just all these swords welded together. I'm like,
The
"Oh,
Iron Throne of Swords.
yeah, I'm like, that's so cool." And like and I have the Moonblade now, and I've got a couple of the other like really huge swords that are like magic strength builds, and I'm like, second playthrough, you and me, you know. But it makes it easy because there's not good scythes, so I don't have to be tempted by a scythe or katana, which are the two best weapons ever. Um,
There are some good sides.
there's like three of them in the whole game.
Off the top of my head, I know that Faith one is really good, but yeah, then you gotta be a Faith build.
Gross, disgusting. No.
How dare you?
Yeah, why would I like no gods but yourself? Disgusting. To uh, and Moon Lady. She is my queen, but not as my goddess, as my as my peer. For we are going to recreate the earth so that all are free from rules and law. Uh, and and that's another thing about the Elden Ring. The minute I finished her quest, I've been sad the whole time since. Like it's just that scene from uh, Blade Runner 2049 where he sees the robot, the hologram, and he just like stares at it. That stare. That's been me staring at the moon the whole time. Because since I completed that quest, no other quest has resonated with me. I feel completely emotionally detached from the game now, and I'm like, oh, I still have another like 30 hours before I can see my moon lady. It is.
Just that moment with Iggy. Oh, Blythe, I'll be along shortly. I
Uh-huh.
hope you'll only forgive me.
Damn. Damn. Good. You should do voice acting. Something pretty base.
Thank you.
I see chat gang showing up here. Ulf Paint, W Soren the Mad Lad. So I guess it's time to do that intro thing where I mentioned that I am the magical Mr. Mephisto, the most dangerous man in all of Age of Sigmar. Your loquacious lich, taking you on all the adjacent topics to Warhammer tonight. I am joined by chat gang's very own funny bunny queen, Saturni Rose. How's it going? I did it. I pronounced it correctly. I think.
Incredible.
Uh, so how are you doing tonight?
I'm very tired, but I am okay. I've
Tired, but
got myself a can here of San Pellegrino.
we've got a cabaret from the black box here.
Very nice.
Mm.
I think we carry that at my store, actually.
It's not bad. Actually, like for a box wine, it carries some actual complexity, so it's pretty like pound for pound, pretty solid. Frontera does like a, I think they call it a deep red box. That stuff's pretty solid. That was my old go-to, a deep
That
red blend or something. But I can't find it anymore. So
that reminds me, I still have this bottle kicking around of a blonde roast Kahlua.
I've
Oh my god.
th-
So good.
those those are words I've never heard in that combination before. Like I know what Kahlua is, and I understand like a roast.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so tonight I think we're just gonna meander through a few topics. I think one of the major ones, talk about Sylvaneth, kind of get your opinions on some of the leaks you've seen. I know Haywo's just been on a leak spree. Uh, like SJ Arcade can't keep up with all of them. Uh, can't hold on to all these limes. He's the meme. Uh, and but like I want to mention kind of at the top of the hour your fan fiction because it is a darn. I remember the Black Library open submissions coming through, and there were a couple people out there who submitted some stuff, and I remember reading your work and thinking it was a damn crime that you didn't at least make it to like the second round. So so
I appreciate that.
I didn't include it in the intro there, but not only are you our funny bunny queen for chatting, you're also a very solid writer. So I
Thank
wanted
you.
wanted to get that in there too. So and chat gang, those of y'all, if you're comfortable with it, Saturday, I will leave a link to uh, your one Sylvaneth story in the down there part of this video, so folks can check that out if they would like to read Red on Red.
Yeah, by all means. And
You
it's not
go ahead.
like necessarily a Sylvaneth story. They're just a major component.
Well, I mean, there's our first jumping off point. What is it about? Like, what can you like entice chat gang with here if they feel like just in embellishing, indulging a little bit?
Well, there's it's about a Cainite witch priest with certain things to hide. And I partially want to give up the ghost on that, but I also don't because it is a little bit of a surprise as to what it is she's hiding.
Oh no, you keep that tight to the vest, I think.
Well,
Um,
it only gets revealed in like the second or third chapter, so it's not that big a deal.
I, I think some of those early reveals are good. I just did we're only 9 adventures or 9 sessions into my VTM game, and I gave up like the whole main plot point 9 adventures in. Like it's the main one, but still, if we didn't earn that, it would have felt cheap, you know.
True.
So, and I see Hotspur dropping 1,000 RDP to remind everyone that chat gang ain't none to fuck with. Coming in with the f bombs early tonight. Soren saying, Curse City update. I finished the zombies now. I just have the skeletons to paint, and I will be finished with 2 copies. 2 copies of Curse City for the Rantathon? Holy shit, dude.
Can't wait. I can't wait to see something expanding on Cursed City. I want to know. Okay, I say that specifically. Specifically, there's a Sylvaneth embassy in Elfencarnan. Show me the cursed trees.
Well,
I just love Sylvaneth.
yeah. No, I actually got to say, when I first saw the zombie silhouettes where they had like all the trees coming out of them,
Yeah, super cool.
wasn't a fan initially. But then I got them, and I'm like, these are amazing. Whoever designed this needs like the highest of fives. They're awesome. I've put together
Design.
nearly every kit in the death range, like GA death. Um, I'm missing a couple of the spooky ghosts. About all I haven't put together. Um, and my coven throne, which is sitting over here, is about like so. It's a very limited set of stuff I haven't put together in the death range, and I have put together everything related to Beasts of Chaos, uh, ad nauseum, way too many of them, and then a few like Stormcast models and like I put together one Beast Claw Raider, a Halo gave me to like when I was learning the game and stuff. An extra Mornfang because he just uses them as coasters and shit. Um, uh, and yeah, and I say all that to say this: the zombie kit is probably my favorite kit. Like just as a thing that you put together. Not the Curse City stuff's a little different because they're a little bit more push fit, but the like actual box of like 20 Zomblors for like $60 or whatever it is amazing. It's you can't put it together wrong, and everything you do makes everything look so good. And when you put them on the table, they look like a mobile gravesite, which is the best
Nice.
part. So like I can see the appeal to a Sylvaneth player because like with dryads, I'd imagine it's got to be a similar vibe, right? You're like looking at your dryads on the table and you're like, they're a fucking forest that's alive to eat you or whatever. Like,
Yeah, the end result is great. Putting them together, less so, I think. Um, well, putting them together isn't too bad. It's just like cleaning the mold lines is kind of a pain,
mm, mm-hmm.
and then actually painting them is also a huge pain in the dick, if I'm being honest.
I
Their branches, their branches get in the way of painting their branches.
brutal. Uh, it's a what it is like. Do you think it would be better with airbrushing? I know not everyone has an airbrush, but do you think it would be better with airbrushing?
Yeah, the thing is, like, it would look really smooth though, and you kind of want like a rougher texture, like on them because they're bark skinned.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's my opinion. I think doing a airbrush to get a zenithal highlight to start off with would probably be very good. I mean, that's what I did just with rattle cans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, so I guess why don't you kind of take me through like how you sort of like got turned on to Sylvaneth and maybe like a just if you want to do a little sort of like your backstory getting into the hobby, what it was that like kind of made Sylvaneth like the army and just yeah just kind of like a for those in checking that maybe don't hang around on either Haywo's Discord or my own, which would be a horrible mistake because that's really where like we have the most fun these days. Um, Look, I stream once a week. The Discord's open all seven. Um, so yeah, why don't you, for folks who maybe aren't familiar with your passion for Sylvaneth and stuff like that, maybe give us the Cliff's notes or the Spark notes. And
Well, I
yeah.
guess I would say like I felt like they had a really strong um what's the term I'm looking for? Emotional investment, I guess, in the novels because that's kind of how I started getting back into Warhammer was actually through reading the novels. Like I had a bunch of friends that were turning me on to like the lore and I said, "Okay, all right." And I got that big fucking thousand some odd page tome that is Realm Gate Wars Volume 1, and I read all of it.
So that's actually kind of a like a little bit more of an interesting take. Like I like that you mentioned like having an emotional investment. Um, like
Yeah,
that's go ahead, go ahead.
cause like we're introduced to them in the Realm Gate Wars through the Hallow Hearts invading Ghyran, which at this point is basically, for all intents and purposes, belongs to Nurgle. It's his second garden at this point.
Right.
And it's like, at this point, the Everqueen is basically hidden away in a sub-realm. And they're like, well, we gotta go find her and protect her, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they find the sub-realm, and they get in there, and a bunch of dryads and a branch wraith by the name of, you'll never get this, Lady of Vines.
Oh snap! That sounds familiar. That's like a thing. I know
It
that
only
one.
took 5 years for them to make a model of her, but okay.
Fair. Hey, better late than never, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's fine.
No, go on.
But she comes out and she's like, "What have you done? You fucking idiots! You led them into the secret subrealm. God damn it!"
Mm-hmm.
And then she fucking kills their Lord Castellant because she's so mad.
I mean, cool. They just like really are pissed off Teresa.
And then Alariel heals him, and it's fine. And that guy's name is Loris Grimm. And the whole like series from there on sees them kind of like reluctantly working together, and then they slowly kind of grow to respect one another, and then by the end, like they're like his hand gets cut off at one point, and then she heals it using Alariel's magic,
Mm-hmm.
and like sits there like inspecting it, holding it, making sure she did it right, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. Okay, lean in a little closer for me. No, where are you going?
Crazy. Crazy. See, that's it's interesting to me because I feel like I've done this show 3 years now. The number of folks who say they get into Warhammer from the books, that's not the dominant narrative I hear of how people get into the
Well,
game. Like,
well,
I know there's like Black Library. It feels like it's very much written for people who are already at the party. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying.
Like,
Technically, that's not how I got into Warhammer.
oh,
Technically, I got into Warhammer when I was 12 years old,
see, that's a familiar story.
and with my dad at the biggest hobby store around in my part of the world.
Mhm.
And I said, "Holy shit. Look at these cool fucking skeleton dudes. Is
Yes.
that a Kopesh?
Oh no.
They're called the Tomb Kings, you say?
Yeah.
Wow."
Yeah. So you got into like Tomb Kings, played Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Did you have the break like everyone takes? Like, like you
Multiple.
yeah, yeah. So when you came back, like your friends are trying to get you to AOS, and you're like, well, where the fuck are Tomb Kings? Was that like the first read, or did that
No,
happen?
basically like I never actually played a game with my Tomb Kings, unfortunately. I was like, this is sweet. I love like, oh my god, it's this easy to make sandy looking skeletons. Wow. And
Mhm.
then I kind of fell off for a while because I was a kid and I didn't have money and I couldn't get more really.
I mean that's a common narrative too. I mean even with myself, I barely got my like undead army, like onto the table like between like all of middle school and high school. It was actually easier to get a 40k army together. I think we played at like 500 or 1,000 points with 40k, and at the time people were like 2,500 points was like Warhammer Fantasy Battle game, and I'm like, so we played a lot of like doubles games where like I would have
Hmm.
like 1,000 points of skeletons, or like whatever I could field basically, and then my friend Sam, he would just sort of fill in the rest with his elves. Um,
Right, right.
and that was kind of how we played. And we played like little weird narrative games, like assaulting cities and attacking caravans and just like whatever points we had and coming up with our own rules to kind of make it feel equal. And that was
It's
most
fun
of
though.
my
Yeah, sounds
Warhammer
good.
Fantasy Battle experience, quite frankly. Um, by the time I was about to go off to college, I'd finally started doing like full battles after they blew up my army once and released vampire counts. So I had to I'm like I almost have 250 or 2,500 points of undead army book undead stuff, and they're like, oh, you know what, kid? Slam, and they just like actually physically slammed the vampire counts book on top of my army and smashed half of it because like half of it just wasn't in it, including my boy Nagash. Um, so like, oh, I'm a Vampire Counts player now, and so I had to
Oh
like
man.
recollect a bunch of other stuff. But it's funny because like I'm thinking about how if that happened in the community now, like people get pissed off, and rightfully so. Like fucking half your army disappears, like rightfully so. But when I was a kid and my funds were more limited, I was excited because I'm like, oh, look at the new vampire I get to play, because they released blood dragons, right, as a bloodline, and they came out with like some new vampires for that, and I'm like, oh, fucking new vampires! Like I always wanted this type of vampire in my army, you know. So like
Yeah.
I suddenly had cavalry, like more cavalry vampires to play with and stuff. So but
But
that
yeah, my actual experience playing fantasy battles was the games that I got at a local game store that opened up, and I could have dusted off my old Tomb Kings, but then I saw mad scientist rats.
ooh yeah yeah Skaven are awesome.
I never actually finished that army though because there was just too many rats to paint. I'm sorry. In fantasy battles, like Skaven had so many fucking models on the table. God.
I'm trying to cast my mind back to those days, but everyone had Skaven as like a second army, but no one fielded them as their primary army. And so you never saw a full Skaven army. We only ever saw them in our weird little doubles games. Um,
Right, right.
uh,
That's probably a factor why.
yeah, I had a buddy who had Bretonians, legit.
Oh, my
Um,
friend Ida loves Bretonia. She's the one I wrote those Bretonian battle trait rules for actually.
I thought those rules were really solid. I think if anyone's got like if there's like a workshopping of like writing your own homebrew battle tomes, you're a great person to go to for that.
Well, it was kind of easy because the war scrolls were already there, and having just come off playing a campaign of them with Total War Warhammer 2, like I felt like I get the theme. If I have a theme, I can write rule stuff for. Like I've done that a lot for D&D especially. Like as long as I have a theme in mind, I can hammer out like fairly, okay rules that capture, as you put it, I believe, the zest of the thing.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta capture that zest, that spice. Yeah, um, that's
Oh my God, 8K points of Dark Elves.
you had something like 8K. Yeah, yikes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I the second book I had was a Dark Elves book. But and later on Malleus Darkblade would become like the guy, and everyone would become obsessed with him.
Right.
Um, no, I see. You do something that's very intelligent about the writing, though, is because you do look for that theme to build it, and then it sort of like starts to write itself. In that,
Yeah.
because you sort of, I do the same thing. Like almost all my homebrew stuff is like I'm kind of riffing off of an idea that exists. So, like I did a gunslinger class because I didn't like at the time I think it was Pathfinder was like kind of the main game, and I really didn't like the Pathfinder gunslinger. I thought it kind of like I thought I kind of like missed the gunslinger thing a little bit. Like it was like half artificer, half archer, and it
Yeah,
didn't.
I get what you're saying.
And I'm like, well, this isn't here. So I just like thought about every Western movie I ever liked, and I just went through and I took all the like weird archetypal things that always happen in all those, and I built
You gotta
rules for
have
them.
like the cool tricky reload where you spin the lever action around.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, and what it ended up doing is like I broke it down into three archetypes. So you had like essentially a sniper,
Mhm.
where you could do like rifle, trick shooting and rifle stuff, and I think I called it like big game hunter or something like that. So like it was the whole thing is like it got really good at like killing big stuff and like marking targets and things. This was like a sniper. Um, the one I liked was like was the what did I call him? Like the no name killer or something like that, and it was like supposed to be like the man with no name, uh, and or it was like a high plains drifter type thing. Is this character that just shows up and they actually have powers of anonymity. So if you don't know their name, they're actually better against you, and shit. And they're like the quick draw assassins, and So I actually like wrote that way. I got really obsessed with the idea of doing damage to yourself to like have buffs. And this might have been around the time Bloodborne was coming out, and I got obsessed with Bloodborne. So I wrote a blood, like, I don't know, like a blood what do they call it? Like a blood inquisitor or something like that. And so like I made this monster hunter, and then fucking Matt Mercer did something like it, and I'm like, ah, fuck you, Matt Mercer. Like no one's ever gonna read my fucking shitty thing on DM's Guild now that fucking Matt Mercer has something out. Like maybe stood a shot of having
next time, Matt.
Yeah, I'll catch you next time, Matt. Is that why I still don't like Critical Role?
I like it okay. It's just, I'm sorry. The episodes are 4 hours long. I don't have that kind of time.
1.5x. You got a 1.5x it at that point. No, I like it well enough, but you have to treat it like it's a show. It is not an RPG actual play. This is a show. This is a movie. You know, they have a it's cool because it brought a lot of visibility to RPGs. But it annoys me because it did that thing where everyone thought that like started comparing themselves to that. And I'm like, now when I say actors, I don't mean that they are acting and pretending to be RPG gamers. Okay, like that they hired actors like, hey, go pretend that you play D&D. That's not what I'm saying. But most of them are like voice actors, professional actors, like so on and so forth. Like they know their way around a stage production. You know, like this is so it's not quite this, but my GM doesn't do the voices, and then like and now that GM like feels bad and shamed, and it's like I have like 3 voices I can do.
Mercer effect.
Yeah. You've already displayed more cadence and candor than I can in an entire campaign in like the 30 minutes we've been live. Like I have like excited Meph voice. I've got like my baritone I slip into, and then I have like the my essentially like my falsetto where I pitch up. And what I
love.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I mostly change my cadence more than my voice. So I like, I'll talk down and, but I can't change my voice. I used to be able to when I was like much, much younger, but then this, sultry baritone set in and I lost it. Like I just.
I'm working on getting away from the baritone. A work in progress.
Yeah. Yeah, understandably so.
I was just gonna say, back when I ran my D&D campaign, that was actually like part of my favorite part was just like getting into character and emoting fake, but emoting, play acting.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of my favorite parts. This V5 game, and I promise I'm not gonna just like plug my V5 game all night. This V5
voice.
Yeah, Mass Effect 3 is pretty intense. No, when I do the
We don't have to go there.
No, I try not to these days. It's an achievement unlocked moment if people can get the Mass Effect 3 rant out of me. No, with the vampire game, there was a character in it called Sundown, and going into Sundown's character was like kind of the most fun I've had in an RPG in such a long time. And Sundown is such a shit. Like he's this sniveling, cowardly, like rat. He's a rat. He's a snitch. He is a Nosferatu who like constantly sells like dirt on everybody else. And so when the party like ran into him, he like has this like, hi, like I didn't mean to, imply that you might be doing something that maybe the prince should know about or anything, but if he did, it would be real bad for you. Like you just like switch, like Sundown is, and like I feel my body posture change when I become Sundown, and I start like rasping my hands and fingers together. I mean, nobody knows that you're not really a Tremere, but I'm sure someone would pay a lot of money for that, and it might be in your best interest to, make sure that rumor doesn't spread. And just like going into the Sundown persona. And there's a couple different characters out there, and I like that feeling of becoming someone else, and even in an RPG capacity. I was an okay actor back in like drama and theater. I tended to play support roles because support roles have more fun. Quite frankly, you have fewer lines, you can ham it up more. Like you can, the focus isn't on you. Usually, directors like want like the actor to the leads to be the lead and do this and that. And when you're a side role, you just get to have more fun.
Yeah.
Meph is a method DM. Uh, there's a joke going around that like method man, like that's another one of my nicknames. That one's from Jack from
Right.
Rerolling Ones, by the way. So I think there's a pun there with method man or method DM.
Hey, Domir.
Oh, Domir, how's it going? Yeah. Morathi on a Dark Pegasus was your favorite model. I remember that.
Warn her Pegasus had a unique name. I just can't remember what it is. I'm definitely not about to like reinstall Total War Warhammer 2 to find out either.
Based. Yeah, I cut you off though a little bit. Like you were talking about like a DMing and so like, do you role play anymore, or is it just plate's too full these days?
Plate's a little too full, unfortunately. I haven't really played a TTRPG in quite some time, but I do miss DMing my campaign. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. As a storyteller, I think there's that ability to like have a constant audience is like for me that's
Mm.
kind of addictive.
Mm.
Me wanting an audience with my podcast and such, no. Um, no, that would never be. So just to reset us real quick, get us back on topic with Sylvaneth. So you had this Warhammer.
So that
Go ahead, go ahead.
no, what was the question?
Oh, I was just gonna say. So you had this experience with Warhammer Fantasy Battle, like
Yeah.
many of us do. We're younger, we can't really field a full army. So there's this like weird longing that gets left in you. I can't fully play the game.
Yeah, after the first gap, I did play around a little bit with Skaven, and then I lost my local game store, and I didn't get to play for quite a while. And by the time, like, I kind of forgot about it for a good while, and by the time another game store eventually, excuse me, sorry,
Mhm.
another game store eventually opened up, and I was like, oh my God, there will be tables. I could play, I could play with my rats again.
Mhm.
And I'm like, hey, do you guys do Warhammer here? And he just shook his head. He's like, man, they blew it up.
Mhm.
Like, what? This was my first time hearing about end times. I wasn't keeping up with it at all. And I just found out, like, yeah, the game just doesn't exist anymore. Oh, okay. All right.
That's Was there a lead time between the end times and AOS, or did people know the new thing was coming when they blew up the end times? I wasn't around for that. I wasn't playing back then. I might have been playing 40K at the time, but I certainly wasn't paying attention to Warhammer Fantasy Battles.
Like, in this instance, I think AOS First Edition was out.
Hmm.
And I think the guy who ran that new game store that was there did not like it.
It was one of the burn your army on the internet people, right?
Nah, he wasn't that bad. He just didn't care for it. He's just like, nah, I don't like it.
There was I refer to that as like the dark ages for AOS, and it was back to back. All right, Ulf, thank you. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I jumped in basically like GHB 2017, the kind of on the tail end of it. Winter 2017, November, December ish, maybe as early as September. It might have been fall. Not important. So I jumped in there, and so like the game had already existed, and I will never forget Halo coming to me and being like, "You should come play Warhammer. It's good again." Like that was his pitch, and I'm like, "All right, I'm there." And so I had this period in time where I was getting into AOS, and he had a
Sublime, you
full
say.
he had a full Stormcast army to just give me. Like he was like, you can play this. Here's this whole Stormcast army I won, and you can just play it. And I'm like, so I was like
Wow.
practicing on the Stormcast army. And I'm like, yeah, these are cool, but is are Nagash and Skaven still around? You know. Like,
And behold, they are.
yeah, and it's like and I just kind of picked up where I left off when I jumped back into Undead. But I had this period in time where I was thinking about starting Skaven because they were that army I kind of always wanted to try back in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but never got around to it. But I stuck with Undead. I stuck with Death, and I have no regrets. Like just tattooed on my neck. Um,
I am, admittedly, still salty about how much of a trap option the Warplock Jezzails were
mm,
in fantasy battles.
mm,
They were so bad. It was dumb. Okay, I have to explain this now. So basically, they had 36-inch range. Wow, awesome! But their ballistic skill was so garbage, they would never hit anything. And even worse, the Rattling guns, which were cheaper on points,
mm,
and you could just attach them to like a clan rat or storm vermin block, had a special rule: heavy ammo, where do you see that range on how far they can shoot? Fucking ignore it. They can shoot twice that far because fuck you. And it ended up like with them being almost as far reaching as the Jezzails, except they actually fucking hit things. Wow.
mm, mm.
Incredible.
Demir says it was the power of the pun. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Power of the pun? What?
I'm the rattling gun. It's a pun.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right then.
um, so you end up in AOS and you get in on Sylvaneth because of the books.
Yeah, yeah. So, I love the concept of them. Partially because, like, one of the scenes that sealed the deal for me was at the tail end of, I forget the name of the books, individual books, because like I said, I got the big tome that's just Realmgate Wars Volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
But in the first book that has the Hallowed Hearts entering Ghyran, at the tail end of it, they have to get some of the Astral Templars, the pink armored Stormcast, pink, magenta, purplish armored Stormcast guys.
I'll take
Yeah.
your word for it. Yeah, I don't read Black Library fiction too much.
Anyways, long story short, they need reinforcements. Another storm host comes to reinforce them, but it's still not enough because, Nurgle's forces, they're losing on attrition slowly but surely. And then a bunch of dryads show up in a huge flanking maneuver led by a bunch of like tree lords. And Zephocles, that's his name, Lord Celestant of the Astral Templars, gets done like pummeling a vermin lord, and he's like, "Oh shit, reinforcements! This is great." It's like, let me come help you," and one of the dryads fucking shrieks at him and goes back to peeling the flesh off of a plague bearer, and like plucking its eyes out, and like revealing the skull in like one swift motion, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
I
And I'm like,
got
"That's them. I want them. Gimme."
yeah. I hate to be contradictory, but that's pretty metal. Is it more metal if we don't care? Yeah, it's way more metal if you don't care. Like just fucking Nathan Explosion voice. Like, yeah, it's pretty fucking metal. That's awesome. No, how's it going,
Okay.
Lexolopolis?
Right.
Sylvaneth are the most death faction in order. That makes them awesome to me. Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty sweet. Yeah. So Sylvaneth, even though the trees are a pain to put together, you're kind of in on the Sylvaneth. So, um, do you want to go into your malaise with Cities of Sigmar, or do you want to jump to the reveals or the well, you can't do the thing anymore.
Oh, I was fine with that. It's just like where I'm at right now. I kind of don't want to keep working on that Cities of Sigmar like list I planned on doing instead of Sylvaneth, because now it's kind of up in the air. Like, are they being completely rebranded and upended into like the Dawnbringer army that they're planning, or is that going to be like a separate thing, like kind of like with the Stormcasts where they have the Storm Host and the Storm Keep allegiance abilities?
Right.
Like
Right.
that's kind of like the ideal world that I would like to see. I don't know if that's the case yet.
Right. Right. So
So it's been kind of like a little, honestly, just a teeny bit frustrating, like getting stun locked, basically.
I think I think that's a great I think that's a great thing to point out actually. Like the indecision, like wanting to just have just give me an excuse, right? Like that's one of the my main mottos of AOS is just give me an excuse to do something I already want to do, right? Or give me an excuse that's kind of cool, or to do something that's kind of cool even if it's not the best. Like just give me an excuse, and they're giving you they're giving you the opposite of an excuse. Like you said, you're stun locked. You don't know what direction to go. While you sort of wait with your army in torpor. And even if Sylvaneth come out like this new battle tome, you still kind of have to like, are you still gonna have to wait for the Dawnbringer Crusade, whatever that might be, to come out too, right? Like,
Not necessarily, because if the third edition Sylvaneth book comes out and it's good, baby, I'll just play them instead.
well, there you go. There you go.
I'll just do the thing I originally wanted, except now I want to do it more.
Ah, perfect. Did you have a chance to look at the teasers or the leaks?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, right. What would you read on those?
For
I
Lady of Vines, and there's the Kurnoth with bows, and Durthu? Durthu got shown?
yeah, I think Durthu's something happened. I honestly
Yes,
I didn't
Durthu
pay
got leaked.
attention to them.
I remember.
I had a really weird week with the leaks. Pardon me.
That is okay. They're pinned in the Giga.
Oh,
Oh,
check 'em.
shit! Daughters of Cain leaks!
Domir says, "New Sylvaneth make me happy. I didn't finish my 2K list before the new book came out."
Done?
Yeah, I could not be more
Okay.
jealous of the new Sylvaneth releases. They're so cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Although I will say, I do have a couple of jokes I could tee up here.
Go ahead, I suppose.
Prior to this, one thing I said, and I don't know how often or how frequently I said this, but one thing I did say was, um, that everyone wants archers. Everyone wants to see cavalry. Everyone wants these things to fly.
Hmm.
And I said, I want a reason to use the things that are already here first, please.
Hmm.
Like spite revs, I'm sorry, they're bad. They're stupid, they're useless, they're bad, they're not good.
Right.
5 wounds, 5 up armor save, 70 points, bad damage output, fear aura that is fear aura that is not nearly as useful as it should be. Oh, but hey, you can get Dreadwood and Dryka to double buff stack them and throw a bunch of good money after bad.
Hmm.
Or for 10 more points, you can take the guys that teleport!
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder which one I'd rather do!
Well, I mean, the role of something that teleports is indispensable, even if it's bad. You know.
Yes, this is true. Like, they're still weak. It's, however, they teleport.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the you have to like against even peak OBR from 2.0. Like peak. Everyone was wrong about how OP Petrifex Elite was because they were just too stubborn to learn to play against them. That era.
Yeah.
Sorry, I raised a bunch of money for charity last year. Was the first year to no the changes for Petrifex Elite were totally founded. Blah blah. So there I got that out the way. Even back then, if somebody had a unit that teleported, didn't matter what it was. The way I had to play the game completely changed. Just by having a like unit of harpies like allied into your stupid fucking army, like just
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
and it was the same thing with these assholes like teleports they're just indisposable. They're good.
And
Pro-
kind of a...
provided they're affordable. And that's the
Yeah.
main caveat. If it's a very expensive teleport, then it's usually not worth it. But if it's a low like a low buy-in, it's worth just having that silver bullet in your army because it just changes how people have to deploy and play the game just by having it.
For sure.
So
And also, I will maybe I'm like looking at this from the wrong perspective, but in my mind, like after having looked over Cities of Sigmar and their rules so much, like I'm thinking 70 points for 5 Spite Revenants.
Mhm.
So, Cities of Sigmar has like units like the Blackguard Halberdiers that are 135 points right now for 10 of them. So like you're talking about like a fairly similar points per model cost, and I just they're 4 up, 2 inches, Rend 1, better damage profile, like, and also Spite Revs are on 32mm bases and 1 inch reach claws. Bad. They're just bad. There's not a reason to take them. There isn't. They are bad within their own army. They're bad compared to other similarly pointed per model units in other armies. I'm sorry, they're bad. There's no reason to take them. And similarly, the Branch Witch. I lament the Branch Witch has no like real role in the army right now
Mhm.
because it's a cool fucking model. It's a really cool model.
Mhm.
It's also the one that comes in the start collecting box, and there is a reason why 9 times out of 10 online when I see somebody's Branch Wraith, it's a kit bashed Branch Witch.
I don't know the difference, quite frankly. I've
So
played several Sylvaneth players, and they just point at it and they go, "That's a branch one." I'm like, "Wait, is that the good one or the bad one?" Like I cut them off before they even finish it because, like, I'm like, "Is this the good one or the bad one?" And they're like, "Well, this is the good one." And I'm like, "Okay." And the good one's good because it does the like stacking, its cast values, and then it does some shenanigans. And they're like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So it's dead. And they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Uh huh." And then like that, and
well,
that's
they're
that's
both
the end of the exchange.
low tier casters. It's just that the Branch Witch, if I recall correctly, right now is 90 points and has for like 20 more points, if you want something that will actually do okay damage in melee, there's the Arch Revenant, who also happens to synergize with Kurnoth Hunters, the best goddamn things in the book right now,
Hmm.
whereas the Branch Witch doesn't. Okay, cool. Well, at least she has an AoE Mortal Wound proc spell as her signature spell. That's sweet, right? Oh, the Warsong Revenant now also has that, and it's a bigger, better one.
Hmm. Hmm. That's funny.
Okay, so which would you rather have in terms of cheap casters, the Branch Witch or the Branch Wraith? The Branch Wraith summons dryads for an army that struggles to have a solid amount of models on the table to contest objectives.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. And the unit she summons is battle line, so counts for those battle plans where it's got to be battle line contesting.
Hmm.
Gee,
Well,
I
that
wonder which one I'd rather have.
well the battle line contesting thing doesn't work anymore though, because like you don't have when you're summoned and you don't have your, you're not battle line even if you were battle line, right?
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
because that's a force organization thing, you don't have battle line when you're summoned into the game.
Okay.
Unless they fixed it, they finally fixed it, but I remember them doing that and it was stupid. Um, Not to be confused with when you're awesome, like Death is, and you bring a unit back, then it keeps it. um, I like Ulf Paint is trying to help me figure out the difference between them, and he's like, "Well, one is made of sticks and the other is made of branches." Yeah, I don't.
Made of branches. They have branch in the name. What are you talking about?
Um,
Branch Wraith has claws. The Branch Witch has the cool sickle thing and a pet centipede.
ooh, see, I like the one with a tree friend automatically. I don't. I already have forgotten which one's which. By the way, like it never even registered. You just talked to me this whole time explaining the difference, and it just I tried to like memorize it in real time, and it still didn't stick. And I'm like, oh, which is the one with the cool tree friend? That's my favorite. See, maybe they'll get new War Scrolls in this book.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
See, I
But
I'm gonna glance at my phone here. I'm looking at I'm checking out Giga Chat real quick to see what I missed because I feel like I missed something. Um, you can
oh,
continue.
buddy. Well, I guess I would just say like leading in so like I said, like those are the two units that just I'm sorry, they just don't have a role. And I the only thing the biggest thing that I want from this book is, give me a reason to use these existing units.
Oh, I see a bunch of DOK leaks so far. Sweet.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right, so
Don't
we got
tempt me with Melisai. Melisai are very cool.
Snex. Okay, I see. So this isn't like Lord of the Leaks like it was with
Night Haunt.
Nighthaunt.
Yeah, that was wild. The entire book. Also, is that a Lumineth thing? What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, alright. Could be a Photoshop. Alright. Okay, alright. Okay.
Oh no. I'm seeing my stuff pinned in here. Yeah, that was my bad. So yeah, I mean there's just like there's not enough to go on right now with like will Sylvaneth be good or bad?
Sylvaneth be good.
Yeah.
Gia, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
But
there's
yeah.
just this always happens. I mean this is everything. We always rush to conclusions about stuff off of one teaser rule on a Warcom article. We still haven't stopped suffering from the from the what is it, Immo? The crematorian menace still hasn't ended, right? Clearly that they had the best rule. That read was wrong at the time. Like they shared the crematorian rule right next to +1 save. That was a dumb read at the time, and like not everything was out yet. Sorry, I blacked out. Mass Effect rant again?
What?
Was it the Mass Effect rant? Where am I?
No.
No.
Not
Okay.
this time.
Okay. No, we always, but we do always often rush to conclusions and stuff like that, and without knowing how it all comes together, without knowing Allegiant's abilities. One of the big things that like Sylvaneth got hit on was like losing house, like they had their house and shit like that. Their battalions just got all mucked about. Um, that whole book leaked early on iTunes, if everyone recalls. So if I'm going to reset this to even before that. Sylvaneth are a very interesting army to me. Just in general. Not just because like I have like this vicarious ability to like enjoy things my friends like. So like my buddy Sam, he was a high elf player back in Warhammer Fantasy Battle when I was playing Undead. And when he got into AOS with me and Joe, me and Haywo, he picked up Sylvaneth. And at that time it was 1.0 Sylvaneth when they were real strong.
I heard they were really good in first ed.
Yeah, like I mean, it was like first ed and then they had like their sort of 1.5 version where they were pretty good, they were pretty good, and then basically going into 2.0 they sort of became irrelevant for a period, and then they got their battle tome that was supposed to fix them, and they stayed kind of irrelevant. So
Unfortunate.
right, but there's this thing is they were this sort of blueprint for what we even think of as an AOS army to this day, 2.5 editions later. They were the first time we saw like, allegiance artifacts and allegiance abilities and stuff like that.
Okay.
That was when that book came out. It was sort of the first Age of Sigmar book. Up until then, it was like this weird, like you have these allegiances and you group your stuff together on the keywords, and it was quite frankly, if I had started playing at that exact moment, my brain would have short-circuited, and I would have been like, no. Luckily, I got rewarded for my, utter luck of when I started playing the game, and it has nothing to do with me. But no, so like that book came out, and that actually sort of defined what an AOS army was. It put the battalions in it. It had the allegiances. It would even hint at what would go on to be sub-allegiances with the way they handled. What is it? They had the family or whatever, the house, like the way that they had
Warglades.
Yeah, they had their Warglades and they had like micro battalions essentially.
Wait, actually, is it Warglade or Wargrove? This is my supposed favorite army, and
this is you're the expert. So you're the expert guest here.
Blades. I was right the first time. Run it back, baby.
I'll edit that in post. You'll sound perfect the first time. I understand like opening pages could be difficult with your bunny paws too.
Oh my god.
Um, so we yeah. So I mean, but that was the army that sort of like like that. That was like sort of the It's interesting because they're essentially the first principles of AOS. Now we've had some evolution since,
You're all welcome.
but you can look at even like I said, you can even look at like sub allegiances there. You know, they had the only playable mega battalions. Like the landscape of what that book did was just very very interesting, very important to Age of Sigmar. And as more and more tomes came out, they sort of like remixed and figured stuff out a little bit better, a little bit worse. You know, you end up with a Nurgle book, which is pretty solid for its time. It just stuck around with that antiquated book for far too long. You know, you had, you know, after that we get like LON, and we start to get like, you know, we start to get like a good clip of books, and by the time Night Haunt and the next iteration of Stormcast are down, IDK, Night Haunt, DOK, like all those came out, 2.0 comes out, and the whole game changes again. And so all these other books, they, you know, Games Workshop says they're going to get every book updated in 1 year. I said bold, but bullshit. If you do it, I will reserve my judgment, like that whole year, just because I want to see if you can do it. Like I'm sitting there with popcorn at this point, like go ahead, you know, like let's see it, GW. I've never trusted you to release stuff like that ever. So I was kind of impressed when they did get all the books out in 1 year to begin with, but it all started very rocky with Sylvaneth coming out sort of like leaked ahead of time. I believe that was in the spring of that year. We had gotten, what was it, Tzeentch and Skaven, right? Kind of kicked us off at the beginning of that year. I'm trying to check it. You can correct me, or if anyone's you want to get mad at me in the comments on the YouTube video, go ahead. It's fine. My memory is pretty decent on some stuff, but time is where I start to get foggy on things. Blame it on my ADHD. Time blindness is a hell of a drug. Anyway, like Sylvaneth comes out, and this is where you get the whole book leaks to iTunes, like way ahead of time.
Wow.
And I'm not convinced that product that
Well,
went to iTunes was the finished product. I've heard various conspiracies from Dude Trust Me Guy.
my
But
source is that I made it the fuck up.
right, yeah, exactly. And I don't know. You know, I believe that whoever believes their conspiracies, they believe it. You know, I'm not interested in that. But it did read to me like an incomplete product, and they've been just like kind of stuck with that for the last run. Now, Games Workshop has this nasty habit of overcorrective steering. It's the thing that when I see super hot takes on the internet, one of the things that always worries me is because Games Workshop has this weakness of overcorrective steering to noise. Everyone remembers Nerf evocators, like the blood curdling screeches that evocators were OP and Gav bombs were the best, and they listened to people and nerfed them. You know, like insane
apps. Like not useful now.
Oh, they weren't good at the time. You know, this is 2.0. Like they weren't even good at the time.
Right.
You know, like insanity, absolute insanity. So I have a tinfoil hat over here I'd like to put on. Sylvaneth is such the wild card in all of this. They had that one really great release, and they had a couple moments where like GHB buffs like aligned to where they stayed relevant, or some meta rules changed to where like they suddenly were good again. Is this finally the time they get Sylvaneth right? I mean, if I were a betting man, I'd say no, because I would go with history and go history dictates that they haven't figured this army out. But they haven't released a bad army in 3.0 yet. They've released better and worse armies, you know. But that would be a false dichotomy to even, you know, thing good, thing bad to begin with, you know, right? Like, they haven't really, like, struck out, I guess would be a better way. You know, they haven't, like, just utterly whiffed on a book. Um,
yeah, I get what you're saying. I think each of them so far has definitely had, like, if nothing else, a very solid core.
there's been something to do in that book, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and Games Workshop, even good, bad, or otherwise, when it comes to their books, they always have like this pendulum swinging back and forth on their power. If demons are good in this book, the mortals are going to be good in the next one. Or if demons are good this GHB, mortals will be good the next one. If just to apply it to my army, if zombies are good this book or this GHB, skeletons will be good this one. Or oh, Graveguard are back in stock and they're not selling. Or Black Knights, oh, we better like now suddenly Black Knights are really good. Like that pendulum moves around, essentially helping shift models, right? I mean, let's be honest, they're a capitalist organization. They want to sell shit. It's not a newsflash to anyone that like multi-billion-dollar company wants to sell you crap. Like I don't understand why that's still a hot take. Woo. Like someone's fucking solved the Fibonacci sequence when they're like, you know how like Gorg Gruntas are suddenly good, but they were bad before? I'm betting Brutes are gonna get good soon. Yeah, no shit. Like, yeah, obviously they're gonna overbuff Brutes at some point if they're still in circulation. Obviously, things that don't stay in circulation, they just kind of throw darts at, I guess. Like salamanders, sometimes we get just like inexplicably great, and they're like fine cast models that are never in stock to begin with.
Yeah,
Pardon me.
it's fine that they're never in stock. They look bad.
Yeah, they're garbage. Like, I'm sorry, salamander stands. It's okay. I'm technically one of you now, Seraphon players, because I own a Start Collecting box, a display board, and 2 Bastillodons. Technically, they're my sons, but you know, he didn't pay for them.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah. So like, the thing I'm saying is, oh well, and that's the thing is, I don't think it's pure like malice aforethought on GW's side either. I don't know that their marketing department is even really talking to the rules writers. Okay, but I know in a design or in a dev design pipeline, you have agendas from the top. Hey, LLV, it's been a while, my friend. You have like someone handing down post-it notes to your designers, right? That have like an agenda. They go, "This is what we'd like to see. You know, we're going to roll out these things going forward," right? They say, right? They have their pipeline, and the writers tend to move their focus around deliberately because they just spent a whole book writing all the demon rules last time, and they're like, "Well, this time I want to focus on the mortal stuff." I don't think it's malicious. It just shouldn't be unexpected when that pendulum swings. Is really all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And with Sylvaneth, they've been such a fucking wild card because for a while Dryads were the way. Like Dryad, like basically 2-up re-rolling, effectively 2-up save re-rolling Dryads that you couldn't move ever off of anything. That was the way. Like just the teleporting castles upon castles. They looked at you just practice your deployments on these battle plans and you couldn't lose them with Sylvaneth at one. That was once upon a time. I still think whatever I said about the early release, the early leak on iTunes, the iTunes store, like jettison that from your mind for 1 second, like, or you know, put it in an airlock.
Already forgotten.
Perfect. Like, I think they got punished in that overcorrective steer for a while because they were an auto win in that weird foggy period between the 1.0 and 2.0 transition. Like, they were an auto win army, like on very specific battle plans. So you only really like you practice your deployments on those so that you could never lose them. Haywo might have, if you go back far enough in time in some of Haywo's content, you might hear the legend of a Durthu one-shotting his old stone skeleton, Stonehorn, full to dead, rolling all 6s. Like, just hearing the jackpot casino noises with a Sword of Judgment, I think it was, or something, like, insane.
Rolling 6s is a skill. We know.
Yeah,
this.
rolling 6, just get good at rolling 6s, everybody. Yeah, so it's Sylvaneth is, in terms of my like dialectical analysis, in terms of how I've been pretty on point with my predictions, I'm still waiting for my fucking medal on Fire Slayers, by the way, and having been right about them and basically every army so far.
Gonna be.
Sylvaneth's the only one I personally can't pin down. I've been pretty on point with everything I've talked about in terms of like some of the analysis I've done for just sort of basically it's a combination, history, what I understand about dev designer pipelines, a couple rules teases here and there. Like it's not hard to tell. Like
Right.
the thing people forget about Fire Slayers is first spell they were like over 60% win rate. Just nobody fucking gave a shit about them. Like they were good in 2.0 actually, right? Like just nobody played them.
Yeah.
And so like yeah, the 3.0 transition didn't treat them well. But hey, they're fine again. Like it's Sylvaneth I don't think will be bad. I don't think they're going to be bad this time. Surely they won't have 2 bad books in a row, right? Surely they can't.
Well, I sure hope that's the case.
But if one army were to get the bad battle tome in 3.0, like there's just like when you go to a tournament, someone's carrying your L, and you either dodge it or you hold it, right? But someone's always carrying your L at a tournament.
Right.
Like one of these books has to be holding the L, right? In 3.0. I don't want I want it to be like, passionate, happy, hopeful, but like again, I can't lie to you, chat gang. I can't lie to you, and I can't lie to you, Saturni. If one army's gonna hold the L, it's Sylvaneth.
You could if you tried.
I could try. I don't think they'll fuck up 2 books in a row, and I think they're going to overcorrective steer, and Sylvaneth are going to be good actually. I think they're due for an overcorrective steer. I think the community has been so loud about trees and some of the missteps so far that we might actually end up with the new boogeyman in Sylvaneth, because I don't think there's like a dedicated boogeyman. You have your like Sinister Six as the Honest Wargamer and stuff calls it, but like
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But there's not like just that one army that stands out in everyone's mind, like there has been traditionally every sort of GHB rotation. For a while, Change Host is just the fucking worst thing. For a while there, Daughters of Cain, no one ever really. I guess Daughters of Cain for a little bit here at the beginning of 3.0. Sons of Behemoth kinda, but they were still more of a litmus test gatekeeper, and that could be beat.
Extent.
Yeah. But again, we have more of this. Again, that we now have like more of this Sinister Six with this like RPS on the top tables, the rock paper scissors on the top tables. So it's like, but we don't have that dedicated boogeyman, like the way like Tyranids, I guess, right now over in 40K. Is that the army that everyone hates in 40K right now? It's like just Tyranids.
Do not know.
I
couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Come on, chat gang. You hope it's the 3rd Lumineth book. Oh, I think there's I think they've got a 3rd Lumineth book coming. I don't think that's a meme. I think that's true. I'll laugh for days. I will fucking laugh for days when it drops. By the way,
I can't wait to be stuck talking about Sentinels again.
No, you're gonna be talking about how like Hammer Bros, like hammer you in the face, and then you have to redeploy badly, or they're gonna get like some stupid rule that just makes them the worst thing to play against on the table.
Or Koi cavalry that flies.
Yeah, who knows? Like there's just gonna be something out of left field. Like Sentinels are gonna like get message receive, overcorrective steered, smashed into the ground and be terrible. But
Tyrion will be playable again, and he'll be overpowered, and
but something's gonna like show up, and we'll just like this is bonkers stupid. Tyranids are actually running from Seraphon. Funny. 40K has the new book Power Creep Problem. See, AOS doesn't have a power creep problem, and Vince and I have a similar take on this, and I'm sure his is more succinct and better. My take on power creep in AOS is that you can look at new stuff, and it's sometimes worse than an older book. So clearly, power creep's not real. Like it's far more the exception that the new thing is the best, like TM. It's usually like there's some mechanics creep where like new mechanics show up in the new stuff, and people who don't want to learn how to play games think new mechanics are automatically busted because they never invest the time into learning to play around them. Yikes! See, that's that lack of parity is insanity there, LLV. That's just nasty. 3 armies with 80% win rate, the rest under 50. See, the one time, see, AOS didn't even get to a point where it could have 3 armies with an 80% win rate because for a time we only had 2 books.
You can't have too much disparity if you only have 2 playable armies, baby.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Nid's Elder, and I think GK, Gene Stealer cults. Maybe is that what GK means?
Weren't the Drukhari like riding out the top for a good while there? Like I'm pretty sure at LVO, Drukhari were one of the big 3 armies that were just stomping.
I remember people being mad at elves, but people are always mad at elves. Oh, Grey
Well,
Knights.
to be fair, there are more of them, so it's easy to be mad at elves.
It's I don't put a lot of stock in like weird cringe fantasy racism.
No, I mean because there's too many fucking elves that are playable.
Eh.
Too many playable elf armies. So like, if you're gonna throw hatred at a group of armies, like there's more of them to like grab that by random happenstance.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. No, I mean, if you're just grasping at straws, right? But I mean, that's the thing is like we're kind of like fantasy nerds. I feel like we were sort of sold fantasy as an identity when we were younger, off of the backs of like dragons and elves, right? It was like, what did you expect when you came and played a game with made up fantasy crap? It's gonna have dragons and elves. Honestly, we don't have nearly enough dragons for my taste. I know, hot take. I guess Stormcast dragons are a problem, but I want everyone to have huge, sweet dragons, as far as the eye can
This
see.
reminds me, I really wish some of you guys did not put that idea in my head about the Umbraneth being shadow dragon elves, because I'm gonna
Oh.
be so disappointed when they're not.
So here's the thing. This is a teaching moment for everybody,
Yes.
chat gang. Have
Uh-huh.
hope. Don't have
No.
expectations.
Okay. All right. You know what? That's a good way of putting it.
Like hope is fine. Hope is based, actually. Hope is rebellion in the dystopian future we live in, this dystopian hellscape. Having hope is good. Um, Having expectations is where you get pinched. Because if you expect the thing, that's where you get disappointment. Hope
Blessed
is
are those that expect nothing, for they shall never be disappointed.
right. Yeah. So see, hope can help you manifest the sweet shit. Like you talk about things you're hopeful for. People hear that sounds sweet, and they get hyped for it, and then the zeitgeist adjusts, and like Games Workshop then lies like, oh yeah, we were always gonna release that army. Like that shit happens. Right. Like hope is based. Expectations a motherfucker. Um,
I will. I'll admit, if they do actually come out and they are straight up like Shadow the Hedgehog for the GameCube levels of edgy Shadow Dragon elves,
mhm.
I'm all in. Gimme. It's the only thing that will 100% get me on board day one.
Yeah, yeah, Alexalopolis. We don't talk about Umbraneth. Every time someone mentions them, GW delays them another year. Oh, that's
Wow.
brutal. It's funny.
And
Funny because
incredible.
true. See, I thought Umbraneth was going to be like the transition to 3.0. I thought that was going to be the thing. Slaanesha's going to get out. Um, Archeon's going to do some shit. Uh,
Death can't sit by anymore. He's gotta actually
mhm.
like do some stuff. Yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, or there's like it something happens and now Malekith is like, now is the time I can get some sweet power for myself. But they
I was,
seem really thrown in on DOK as like kind of like the face of the edgelord elf side of stuff, right?
oh man, they're so edgy.
Yeah.
I read their novel, Covens and Blood. Yeah, that's it, Covens and Blood. It's over there on my bookshelf.
Hmm.
I didn't love it, not
Hmm.
gonna lie. I
Yeah.
was actually like somewhat disappointed because I had been led to believe that, oh my god, the Daughters of Cain are like the best handled like naked screaming woman faction in a fantasy thing ever. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess I have to read the book about
Mhm.
everyone's favorite girl boss. And just for my taste, like they're at too much of a Venn diagram of like the edgiest fantasy stuff you can think of,
Mhm.
and feeling like a um what's the term I'm looking for? Straw feminist lesbian from like a reactionary comic strip circa like the mid 2000s.
Oh, so like the like more of a on the girl boss than like legit feminism type thing. We're like, look, we have.
Well, well, in the first like basically it's three novellas written by three different authors, and like at the beginning and the end they tie into each other some way.
Mhm.
And in the first one, if- oh, anyways, at some point like they 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 have like a party basically, and they can't get drunk off of like wine because that would be too blasé.
Mm.
And so in order to like basically get drunk and have a good time, they sacrifice a bunch of slaves.
Mm.
All of their slaves, by the way, are men.
I mean, cool.
And they
Smash
all
the patriarchy and all that.
and then they all go off to fuck each other. And the ones that fuck their male slaves are looked down upon by the other daughters of Cain.
Is this
And I'm just
fucking?
like,
Is this a
this
fucking 40K book? It sounds like 40K garbage. Sorry.
it's just so it's laying it on so thick and
Mhm.
so heavy, and I'm just like, oh my god, like
Mm.
man, I fucking get it.
Mm.
Like there's a character at one point um who has like those warlock guys,
Mhm.
and like she actually treats them well, and all the rest of the girls in her temple are like, ugh, disgusting. What the fuck?
Oh, to where like so essentially they have the problem where they're not even writing characters. Like they're not even making characters. They're just like they just have these like cardboard cutouts that like have some sort of like ideology written on it, and that's what the characters is, and they just like put it in the thing. Yeah, that sucks. I like I said, I don't read. The meme has long been I don't read Black Library fiction. But I'm gonna go ahead and tip my hand here. It's not a meme. I've never read a Black Library book. Um, I uh,
Forget.
I not against people who do or anything like that, and I hope it doesn't undermine my credibility. But I just they when I finally have time to sit down and read, the shit I read is so much worse and more boring. Like I'm gonna go read a fucking like the 16th book on anarchism this week. Like, oh, eco anarchism. What's that? I better go read about that shit now. Like, don't be like me, kids. Read your Black Library fiction. Um,
Still haven't finished Dominion actually.
GW writers out there just watching The Crow and going, nah, mate, this is way too subtle. Look, I still like The Crow. I see. I've actually learned to embrace my inner edgelord. Like I was getting to the point where like I got disgusted by edgelords too, and then I realized I was just mad at them because I was mad at myself, and then I learned to love myself. So like I'm okay with my inner edgelord, and I think self awareness is super critical when you embrace your inner edgelord. Self serious edgelord is no fun. But like I like huge swords and characters that speak in one-liners. I can't help it. Like Cloud's my jam. What do you
If
want?
it's fun, it's fun.
Yeah, like
And
teleporting
a
with
wise man once said,
yeah,
and if it's not fun, what's the point?
right, right, right. Uh,
You know, that's part of the fun of why we all still love Metal Gear Rising.
it that's the thing is like not sure if well it's Kojima so it's definitely parody right. Um, but like it goes so hard. Like you're not sure if it's earnest or satire, right? And that's kind of part of the beauty of it. Like that's part of why it's fun. It like no way someone made this earnestly, right? Like no way this was a legitimate attempt to make a game this hardcore, right? Like, no
Like just
way.
the bit where Sundown is like, it'll be just like the good old days after 9/11.
Mm, yeah, it's too. And did Coach? Okay, I Halo stumbled with this one too.
Yes.
Wikipedia, help me out here. Metal Gear Solid Revengeance. Who the fuck made this? Was Kojima involved? Because Raiden, he's on record. Raiden is one of his favorite characters. Like,
As he should be.
yep. Oh, I stand Raiden in Metal Gear Solid too. I was immediately Team Raiden. Everyone was pissed at that time, and I'm like, "Are you kidding?" I love this. I love he gets a katana and he cartwheels with no hands instead of does a barrel roll. He's awesome. Like like made directly for me. You know, I what was I like 12 or 14 or something like that. Like I was like still like hard in my anime phase. Like it was that game. Raiden was aggressively made for exactly me. You know, he's got white hair. He's so much cooler than Snake. Like, uh, and I loved the relationship drama, quite frankly, because I don't know, I was a hopeless romantic too, and I also wondered like about the playing a role in society and you know like dating folks because you're just playing roles and so on and so forth, and then yeah, so where is this here? The game originally being developed internally by Kojima Productions. Metal Gear Solid Rising. However, the team met with difficulties developing a game based on swordplay, so Kojima postponed its development until a solution could be found. And I remember those early teaser stuff because he wanted there to be like a bullet time mechanic where you could chop anything in any direction.
Huh?
And they didn't have the technology to do that. Because we saw some early teaser game or some early teaser,
Watermelon.
yeah, where he's like chop, yep, yep. With Platinum Games as a new developer, the game underwent significant changes, play mechanics, retained responsibility over the game's overall plot. So Kojima did maintain the plot. So yes, then confirmed. It is 1,000% parody. Like Kojima's whole thing is like thumbing his nose at like imperialism in general and war. We Westerners put like we Americans put our very American lens on it. But if you, there's a really good video. Is it by Kaiser Beams? Did it? It's either Kaiser Beams or Michael Saba. Did a video on like on essentially like a lot of like how much we like love we love anime and we love all the stuff because we see like it's very easy to project like on like American imperialism on a lot of these stuff without realizing that like Japan was having a huge resurgence of like imperialism in the 80s and 90s that most of the artists and like were very vocally against.
Huh.
Um,
That's
and
interesting.
and that like in fact the sort of like aggressive export of Japanese culture that we got in the 90s was a very like concerted effort to sort of like imperialize the media with Japanese culture and stuff. This thing that America does very aggressively itself, by the way. So
Interesting.
yeah, there's just some really cool like essays I can turn some folks onto. There was a like a it was like a Wall Street Journal essay or something, or a Wall Street Journal article was on this one too. The last time I was on this subject, I ended up having to like link a bunch of stuff because people's eyes glossed over, much like yours are doing right now. But yeah, like we imprint like a lot of like you know as an American consumer, you know, and you know our deep.
It's not about me. What
Yeah,
about
I know. I mean, like, there's obviously super explicit references to like 9/11 and stuff like that. But again, initially, a lot of this Japanese art that was sort of anti-imperialist wasn't specifically American. It was anti broadly imperialism, because this huge like resurgence of the Japanese like imperialist party was coming back, and yeah.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, yeah, it's really fascinating shit. There's like I think there's a Wall Street Journal article on it. There's a bunch of video essays. Kaiser Beam's got some good stuff, and Michael Saba. If you're ever Michael Saba's Kill la Kill video, I believe in particular goes into Japanese fascism. If you're really
Take a look at that one when I get a chance.
yeah, Saba's cool, and yeah. Tell Meph to ask do the voice. I thought we were only accepting donations for the voice.
I didn't know if we actually like established.
Demir redeemed 1,000 RDP, as did Saturday. Redeemed 1,000 RDP to remind everyone, chat gang ain't none to fuck with. We also love Godzilla. In our defense, some Metal Gear is directly about our stuff. It's true. It's true. But again, Kojima is very like broadly like anti-war, anti-imperialism. And all of MGS was essentially his critique of like the military and industrial complex and so on and so forth. And he is not an idiot. He knows his audience. They're gonna study Kojima in video game school in another decade the way you study Hitchcock. You know, like this dude is just one of our sort of greats of game design and development. But Silent Hills was too good for this world, so we'll never get it.
How unfortunate, yeah.
I just wanted Guillermo del Toro's art direction and Kojima's craziness to make a Silent Hill game. Was that too much to ask?
Oh man, that could have been so good.
Or it would have been the worst thing ever, because it would have been one big troll from Kojima in the end. And you would have ended up with like some weird fucking egg cooking simulator, but even then, that would have been awesome too. Because it's fucking Kojima. Sorry. I'm supposed so some of y'all in chat gang, you understand what the voice is here that Saturni is talking about?
Do they?
Do they? Do they not?
That's a good question, actually.
I don't know how many folks have been lurking the Discord, but read Gideon the Ninth already, Meph. Well, there's a video that keeps popping up in my YouTube suggested videos. It's like, why is Metal Gear like Revengeance having a surge in popularity again?
Yeah, there's actually been a couple of recent ones on that topic. One by Jacob Geller and one by the Cavernacle.
I think the Geller one's the one that's got to be showing up in my. Well, I've listened to both, so it's probably both of their videos, and I'm just like blurring them into one.
That goes sometimes.
It happens. I do not. Okay, what's the voice? All right, now you got chat gang asking about it. What's the voice?
Mission accomplished.
Is that the snake?
No.
No.
But I can do. I don't know if I can actually do Snake's voice.
I used to be able to do Hater's voice a little bit. I don't know if I still can. Metal Gear. Yeah, lolly lolly low. Like you just like repeat like he's always confused whenever someone says something to him, and you just like
audience surrogate.
Right. Right. Yeah. Crab battle. Yeah. Look at those claws, are huge. Thing could punch a tank. Like I can kind of do Snake. I can't do anybody else from that series.
Yeah, I can do a pretty okay Raiden voice.
All right, you gotta hit me with a Raiden voice. Jack.
Hang on, let me warm up.
So you come for Sylvaneth, stay for the voices.
I told you before, my sword was a tool for justice, never to be used in revenge or for anger. Now, I'm not so sure. And besides, this isn't my sword.
brilliant. It was fantastic. Um,
Probably my favorite line, not gonna lie.
that one's pretty good. Yeah.
That and God, what's the one about typical politician? All words, no. See, I've heard the parody one so much I can't remember the actual one.
It's like something about like no, was it no principles?
No.
Just just like all the rest. Something I don't know.
Typical net lister. All meta, no soft scores.
I remember, so Metal Gear 4 had come out, and Halo might still have the VODs. This is like super early. I don't think he's like fully Halo yet with these VODs. But like, I was like, I'd spent like my college career trying to get him to play Metal Gear. And I think he had played 2 specifically, but never the first one. And like, so I tried to get him to play like Metal Gear Solid, like, and he hadn't played 3, but like he had played like what was it, Subsistence or whatever, the PS2 re-release that had like Tony Hawk Pro Skater in it, for the Big Shell. Like yeah, oh my god, yeah. So Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence is the re-release for PS2
And
that
it has a Tony Hawk minigame?
yes, it had a Tony Hawk Pro Skater mini game
Oh my.
where you skate across the big shell and like you do sick tricks and you can pick either Raiden or Snake and yeah. Yeah. And so whatever, trying to get him to play like the others and whatever, and then basically so that like he could enjoy Metal Gear Solid 4 with me when it came out, because at the time I believe we were still roommates. And Metal Gear Solid 4 comes out, and like just sitting there playing it, and he's basically like half making fun of it the whole time, half like just it's like a full Mystery Science Theater experience where you're kind of sitting there on the couch just like enjoying it but also enjoying making fun of it, right? And like I get to the part where you get to the part where Raiden stops the submarine and we have 2 completely different reactions. I'm like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And he's like, "That's so dumb." Like, just... And then he was, and then we got like I get through the end, and he loved the part where fucking Snake is crawling through the microwave, and then it shifts to his willpower meter. And like that's like sweet, and I think that was the moment he was sold on going and playing all of them. But the best part was when you're doing the fist fight on the top of the ships and stuff, and he's just sitting there like, I get to actually watch these cutscenes, you don't. And I'm like, I have to concentrate so hard on fighting, I don't get to see the cutscenes that are going on the whole time because Kojima's a dick. And he's like, they're actually like really well like shot, and they're like really well filmed and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm fist fighting old man. Like, oh man, those fucking Metal Gear games are great. It's yeah, I fell off the bandwagon with the last one though. So yeah. Kiefer, don't get me wrong, Kiefer Sutherland was fine, but it was yeah, tell Meph he did that. Sylvaneth, woo. Oh yeah, hey Sylvaneth, that was our topic.
I feel like we kind of left
Yeah,
that one behind a
buried
little
the
while
lead
ago.
on that one pretty hard. Went down this rabbit hole on Metal Gear Solid.
Well, think about the guest you have on.
It's true.
Ah,
You don't call the Bunny Queen on without expecting a couple rabbit holes.
beat you to the joke.
Yeah, no, you got me. Got him. Talking about Romgate Worlds. Did that. So yeah, I guess I said don't have have hope, don't have expectations. If you could conjure something into existence for Sylvaneth, what would it be?
Well, I guess I would just repeat my hot take from Giga the other day, where I was like, this Sylvaneth, this Sylvaneth book could be they could copy paste their allegiance abilities, their sub-allegiance abilities, all their artifacts and command traits, as they are right now,
Mhm.
but not have the sub-allegiances lock you into your artifact and command trait. And it would be a better book.
Yeah. See, part of me is like it feels like they can't fuck up 2 in a row, right? They can't get it wrong twice. And then there's that part of me that goes, "Oh, if one of them's going to do it." No, in an alternate reality, I don't play Death, I play Sylvaneth, and I am Meph. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah.
Sylvaneth, the Arch Revenant.
the most the most arch revenant man in Age of Sigmar. Um,
Yeah, Penny's on the number. Like, there's a lot of artifacts that are not glade locked that are fucking incredible.
mm-hmm.
Super good.
Well, Tyler Emerson from Warhammer Weekly, the forever host of Warhammer Weekly, um, was just utterly convinced all of like last edition after that like the bad Sylvaneth book that there was something good in there. And I mean, eventually, I think folks kind of like landed on like some Kurnothi spam style build, which is where we talk about that pendulum. Like Kurnothi might not be the thing coming out of this new book.
Which I'm kind of okay with. If I'm being perfectly honest, like, it's. I think it's been long enough of it being the Karnath show.
Right. I mean, and I think that's, you know, like if your dryads get relevant again, or these new units that they really want to move those boxes, right? Like if those little like the little dragonfly riders are just like bonkers, right? Who knows if the archers will be great or not? I know people are saying the sky is falling already on their rules. I don't give a crap. It's a shooting unit. The shooting phase does not confront me.
I'm kind of with Penny.
Mm.
If Kurnoth are going down to 3-up save, like, they don't need to be battle line. That's fine. They don't need to be unlockable
No,
battle
no.
line.
Yeah. Finish your point. I'm sorry.
No, it was just that was it. I agree with Penny. I don't think they need to be unlockable battle line.
Well, and if that allows you to like juice them up a little bit, that would be fine too, right? Like, yeah. No, Penny. Chat Gang is the show within the show. Why do you think you have a pane on the screen for your chat as large as my camera? Like, it's fine. This is why we do the live format.
We can go deeper. We can create another show within the show within the show.
Yeah, that's the Discord. Yeah. Sylvaneth are like they're a small puzzle for me, and I feel like I need to know. Yeah. Oh, showception. Saturni in Chat Gang, but also on the show. Like, is this like crossing
the streams?
Yeah, Ghostbusters. Oh my god, we need to stop talking to each other. I keep making the same jokes. Yeah, the great enhancing for Sylvaneth. I have hope, I guess is what I'll say. Like I have hope that they'll be good, but I don't have expectations, because that is the way I live my life. I get to enjoy things more because of that. Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of enjoying things.
Yeah, so you had a pretty spicy take on the internet the other day.
Oh, did I tee you up there?
Yeah,
wow,
you did. Yeah,
what
look
a
at that.
complete accident.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that like accidental segue there. Basically, I don't know. It's the internet, and I think folks need to grain of salt anything they see on Twitter, social media, with or whatever. I love Twitter. By the way, it is the exact like dopamine box my ADHD needs. You know, like the doom scrolling, the lull scrolling, where I'm just like laughing at people with a bag of popcorn because they're so ridiculous. You know, like seeing people completely lose their minds over like the minorest stuff and make asses of themselves and just like snarking on them, and like I enjoying the car wreck of some of these dramas, provided it doesn't get personal. Like I had to tap out with Adepticon, but in general, like I go over to my Twitter feed right now. What do we got going on here? Someone Throwing out hot takes that Brennan LM is greater than Matt Mercer. All right, based. Someone excited for Sandman. Cool. Someone talking about RPG they're really interested in. Someone showing off their Nurgle. Somebody showing a cat pic. Based. Like, here's some cool Ungor. Like, it just... My feed is great. Love my feed. So, I wanted to caveat this before we get into it too deep. On one hand, we are who we pretend to be, and we contain multitudes. Like, you are the person you act like on Twitter, even if that isn't exactly who you are. You are the person you. I am the person I am on my show when I'm doing RantCast, but I'm also the person I am around my kids. You know, like,
Well,
who's different. My kids don't get to watch my podcast, right? Like, I am all of these versions of myself. Now, I think of those versions, Twitter tends to be somewhat of a less of a one-to-one conversion rate on who you are. But still, it's a platform where words and actions blur, right? You know, we have this understanding that, like, you know, if you're going to measure someone, measure them by their deed, not by their word, right? Like, there's just a notion of this. And I think you measure people by all of the above, by the way, their word and their deed. And the thing with Twitter is the words become the deed. So it's very important to, I need to caveat that I want some nuance in here. I want to bring people into the nuance zone, right? That Twitter is more of a simulacrum than a simulation. Okay, like it's important to note that you're not always getting the best versions of people on Twitter. The platform is designed to weight negativity for engagement above all other things. So when you're seeing hot takes and outrage mercantile goods being peddled, like, it's important to keep that in mind. That being said, there's an awful lot of people on Twitter who make it their entire goal in life to just shit on things people love. It's their whole thing they live for. I don't know how I feel about that. How do you feel about that, Saturni?
well, it's boring.
Was this one of those, like, I was super verbose and loquacious, and you're like, the best way to be humorous with this is to go, like, as curt as possible?
I was going to say also, by the way, like, even particles behave differently depending on whether or not they're observed.
True story.
But the funny thing is, like, the thing that prompted that little mini rant was not actually like anything I saw on Twitter. I didn't even realize until, like, I saw, I think, Dana posting about it, that it was even a thing happening on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Well, I...
It was
Yeah,
it
go
was
ahead.
a thing in another Discord server I'm in where, hate to say it, but, like, it's kind of a cyclical thing at this point where, like, eventually we just kind of have this same conversation about, like, D&D being the worst system because it doesn't handle this mechanic well, or it doesn't handle this thing that it's not even really trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the thing is, I agree to an extent. Like, you know, there are a lot of reasons to criticize D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also true of Warhammer. There are a lot of reasons to criticize Warhammer. And, you know, I lament that you know, people will not try all these other smaller, more independent systems that probably are more interesting in a number of different ways.
Is
Like,
that
for
turn
me,
tip 28? Is that where this
turn. No,
turn?
I'm not gonna just, like, shout out Turnip 28. But while we're on the subject, Turnip 28 is pretty interesting, and you should check it out. Neither here nor there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no,
Uh,
no. Continue.
not
Other games. So yeah, go on. Other systems.
but my thing is, like, some of the people in this Discord server, and I'm not gonna name names because I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, and that's not the
No,
point. Blah blah
no,
blah.
no. Who of it isn't like that's not the focal point. I tried to make this I tried to make this clarification back when I did the pipe bomb video. Like the specific individuals aren't important because on any given Sunday, who the individuals are can shift. It is this type of discourse that I was trying to target personally. So I think you're trying to make a similar point here. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Where like it just seems like some people are not actually interested in, having that conversation. They are just shitting on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the part of it that really riled me up, because I didn't really care that much, because we have this conversation every week here. Fine. Okay, cool. I had a laugh about it originally.
Mm-hmm.
But then later on that day, I was talking about those Sylvaneth leaks actually. And I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about the Lady of Vines yet. And some motherfucker was just like, yeah, well, actually good playable rules from James are a foregone conclusion anyway, so I'm just like, ugh, we get it. You're so cool. You don't like the popular thing. Like, that irritated me so much. Like, you're interrupting me trying to have an actual conversation with someone else to just shit on the thing that I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's such a middle school mentality at this point. I
think our buddy Bits Hammer probably has like a whole collection, a whole folder of exactly the kind of people we're talking about.
Well, it's a bit of a react, isn't it? You're reacting to somebody else and injecting your cynicism. It's kind of a, quite frankly, it's a rather reactionary way of conducting yourself, wouldn't you think or say? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I would say that. I would say it's a rather reactionary way of conducting yourself.
Yeah.
Like I don't the at one point early on in the internet's days, and I know because I was there in my day, no, I was an angry white boy on the internet too. Like I was a
Well,
angry.
true, but I'm trying to change that.
I will.
In more
I
ways
will.
than one.
No, I'll help you out when you need to fundraise. Like, I will abuse my platform so you can live your best life.
Okay. Anyways, sorry. Go on.
No. It's just like I grew up when I was still doing games journalism. I mean, you're looking at like at the time angry Nintendo nerd and fucking nostalgia critic and the early internet skeptic community. Like it was essentially yeah, I know, but that was the land. It was a bunch of people getting mad at media. That was the landscape of like what
and zero punctuation.
Yeah, Ben Yahtzee Croshaw, right? Like the one thing I will say for Croshaw that over all those other fuckers is he at least designed some games.
Yes.
Like so you have this like landscape where the criticism of the sort of new media or burgeoning new media is just being negative about something, right? Like it's not like I went for English lit, okay? Like it.
Me too.
English lit has we called it analyzing texts, but it is a focus on critical analysis, right? This is where you learn your structuralism versus post-structuralism versus death of the author versus intentionalism, so on and so forth, right? Like that's all part of the purview of an English lit degree, not just reading books, but analyzing them, understanding them. And when you have this class called analyzing texts, as I did, what is a text? Everything is a text. A film is a text. A book is a text. A song is a text. Subtext is it. Well, now we're talking a different type of text, but yeah,
text is text.
Yeah, a text is a text, right? Like everything's a text. And so you learn to analyze text, and this is where we sort of distill media analysis from. And even as somebody with a background in that who wanted to be a journalist, who made the mistake of blending his interest in video games with not knowing what to do with a fucking English lit education, It was either be unemployed or actually I ended up working in a cubicle doing some IT shit. And then I worked for Barnes and Noble as a floor manager, because that's what you do. That's what one does. You major in English lit, you work retail. Um,
C'est la vie, monsieur.
um, and what ends up happening though, but even me, I fell into that trap of like, well, this is what gets the clicks. Nobody's reading my fucking articles unless I say something incendiary for my title. You know, the headline that sticks out to me is like one of my most like shitlord like obvious clickbait ones is the best movie sequel is a video game you haven't played. Is one of my Kotaku articles. Isn't that like so like early like 2000s like internet critic, right? Like isn't that so shitty? Anyway, like but I go back to that era. Cast your minds back. And it was just like colorful language shitting on a thing. And I think that shit's funny. See Mass Effect 3 rant. To this day, it's still funny to me. But it can't be the only way you talk, right? Like, it can't be the default, right? And it feels like it became the default setting. And it was a long time coming, and it's been this way for a long while. But the tenacity of something does not equate to the worthiness of that something. I can point to all kinds of shit that's still around that's bad and stupid. But I'm not going to take any specific shots right now at anything. I don't want to undermine my own point. Like, this idea that cynicism, contrarianism, is critique, is fucking bullshit. And people need to stop. Like, they just need to, like, there's a time and space and there's a great place for that. Where that place isn't is when somebody's just like, yo, I love this. I think this is awesome. I'm going to go have fun with this. Where that type of internet, like, contrarianism and cynicism passed off as critique, the exact opposite of where that shit belongs is somebody just being excited for the thing. Let them. You want to speak truth to power. You want all the clout that you think comes with pretending you're a fucking journalist, even though you couldn't name 2 of the journalist credos. Like, fine. Have at it. But go do it on your fucking shitty YouTube channel. Let people enjoy stuff. And if you don't have a shitty YouTube channel, it's really easy to make one. You can like and subscribe to this shitty YouTube channel right now by clicking the button right down over there. It's free to subscribe to YouTube. If you want to give me money, there's a subscribe button on Twitch, and I guess I have a Patreon or whatever. But don't give me money. Go give it to Haywo instead. He's a full-time content creator. I will just spend your money on impulse buying every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic out of nowhere suddenly during a bout of hypomania. Wait, what? There are journalist credos? Yeah. It's a journalist. Your second journalist class is learning the credo. By the way, which because of one of my favorite content creators, one of my favorite video essayists, Neil, liberal cook, just did a video on journalism, and I learned some shit I didn't know about, like UK journalism, basically, because I've always only seen stuff from like the American journalist perspective. I had just a way eye opener for me. I'm like I thought I knew this shit. I'm like, oh, I know this specific American lens of journalism. Long story short, America does journalism better, but print journalism specifically, and print is dying. So we don't technically do it better anymore because print is dying, and we're not okay with taking state money directly for our journalism, but Britain is a-okay with that shit. So yeah, I kind of hijacked your cloud there.
That is more than okay.
No, who we were talking about wasn't important. The who really isn't important.
It was more about what we were talking about.
It's
which
this.
Was just like.
Yeah, I think we can reset. You can reset this.
I mean, I pretty much said what I had to say. It's just like, like like on some level, like it's true. There are reasons to criticize Warhammer. There are reasons to criticize D&D, and there are reasons to lament about how like in the tabletop gaming space, there is like maybe 5 games that are worth investing in because those are the ones people are already playing, and if you want to play a game, you have to play the games people are already playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I think it's fair to lament that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, you know, you don't have to be um a self-aggrandizing, hipster, navel-gazing little snot about it.
I thought I was being fiery.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to interrupt me when I'm talking
Yeah,
about the new thing coming to the tabletop game I play
right.
to just, like, not really add anything to the conversation other than a snide comment about how rules in that game are all bad.
Mm-hmm.
We get it. You're so cool and hot. We're all lining up to make out with you because your hipster cred is so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Right.
It's no wonder in this exact same conversation that ignited this rage right now
Mm-hmm.
that nobody engaged with that person
Mm-hmm.
after they said that. And they went right back to arguing with each other over which is the cutest gender bent Primarch.
I mean,
It's
that's the better conversation to be having
it's
anyway.
Magnus, by the way.
Is Magnus it does is
It's
it
Magnus.
but can't Magnus be like
Do
omnisexual?
not.
Like Freddie Mercury doesn't like it like you don't gender bending Freddie Mercury does nothing for his sexiness, right? Like it's just Freddie
True.
Mercury is always sexy no matter what.
True.
Same thing with David Bowie and Prince. Like these three individuals are always sexy regardless. Uh, like I feel like Magnus is in the omnisexual category of just like always hot. Maybe not. I don't know.
I think you might be thinking of Fulgrim because
Oh,
I
I'm
would
thinking
have to.
Fulgrim. You're right. Yeah, Fulgrim's the
Do you know what's funny?
snack
The
one.
first time I made that joke, I accidentally did say Fulgrim.
Yeah.
I had to go back and correct it to be.
Yeah. See, I literally I don't know 40k. I try so hard to like maintain 40k conversations because I know it's far more the dominant product and IP and like other people know 40k that like are like listening. So I try to like reference the stuff in a manner that like we're like I'm like okay, well I don't understand this, but you'll understand this maybe type thing. And like I fail even at that.
Here, I know just enough to do the following. Watch.
Mm-hmm. Was that
There we go.
deliberate silence? Oh, Magnus did nothing wrong. Right on. Uh,
Ah!
oh man.
Anyways, jokes aside, I know just enough to like carry on a couple of decent conversations, but as soon as like you start like actually listing off all the Primarchs that aren't Magnus Fulcrum and Robute,
Mhm.
I check out. I'm sorry. I don't know Horus Heresy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my knowledge of 40k is very locked in a specific time period, and then the rest of it is pure cultural osmosis. You know, like just pure cultural osmosis. And so
It
I don't.
almost.
Uh, Vampire Primarch Sanguinius is pretty based. I like Sanguinius because he did a WWE wrestling move to Kabanda and broke him over his knee like so, and that's sweet. Um, and I do like Blood Angels because they're space vampires, and so that's sweet. Um, and then someone's like, "Yeah, but what about all this lore?" I have no idea. I don't know. I don't care.
I'll tell it to you this way. Like when I started um painting models again,
Mhm.
I thought like, you know, if Warhammer that I played isn't around, maybe I'll play 40K.
Mhm.
And I sat on that fence for so long that now when I type GA into the search bar, it automatically opens up the Games Workshop web store page for the Tau Empire.
Mhm. See, that's funny. See, I don't really have any desire to play 40k. I do want to paint a couple models. Like I want to paint Mephiston eventually, just because it's like it's my namesake. Like
Yeah.
that'd be kind of cool, right? Like, um, so like I got to paint Mephiston eventually. And if like a whole Necron's army showed up on my doorstep, well, okay, I have a whole Necron's army to give away during the Rantathon. If a second entire non-Rantathon related Necron's army showed up on my doorstep, I still probably wouldn't play 40k. I would paint them though, eventually, uh, right after I get done painting my Castlevania army, the rest of my Ossiarch Bone Reaper's range, all of my Beasts of Chaos.
I get
And my spooky ghosts, and if Flesh Eater Courts ever get a model range refresh, those models that I'll have to buy, and Wave 2 OBR, and my 2 other Blood Bowl teams, because I'm never gonna paint the human one. Like that's just, I'll have it assembled so someone can play with like a blue plastic human army if they want, or a team if they want when they're learning Blood Bowl. But I'm never gonna. Yeah, it's just not gonna. Yeah, but then after I do all of that, I'll paint Necrons. Like, I know my limitations. All right. No, there's cool shit in 40K, but it's just I don't know. I've never been a person who has enough time for multiple miniature war games. Like I just can't keep on top of multiple at the same time. I can barely do a skirmish game and a war game, right? It's just that's a me thing though, and that's why I don't feel the need to like kick in the door where people are talking about 40K and be like, yo, 40K sucks. Like that. People understand the difference there, right? Like people get that like when you are going elsewhere to spread your negativity about the thing. Like it's fine to like voice your opinions and your feelings. That is fine. You make a Twitter post, you're like, I don't like this. I'm not happy about this. Fuck Games Workshop. Sweet, that's your Twitter post. I make a Twitter post how I like something, and then you come over to my Twitter post to tell me like I'm an idiot because I like the popular thing, and I should go look at this other thing. Like, go fuck yourself. Well, yeah. Twitter's a town square. No, Twitter is an advertising platform where I talk to people who follow me for like the fucking weird shit I do on Twitter. And for me to like scroll at people like you fighting with other people. Because you're so obsessed with having your own opinion and the world hearing it, that quite frankly, it's admirable when I have a show called RantCast and you're more committed to your opinion than I am. Quaint. Mephisto Catacross. No, I would never sully Catacross in such a way. Disgusting. Disgusting. You don't go slap arms back on the Venus de Milo. Well, it originally had arms. You don't go and, I don't know, finish painting the Mona Lisa. Like you leave it alone. You fucking leave Catacross alone. Maybe Catacross with the Void Dragon. Because they both have admirable cod pieces. But beyond that. Listen, Twitter, I'm an idiot for a lot of reasons, but liking the shit I do isn't one of them. True. Like life's way too fucking short. You find something you're passionate about and that you love, lean in. Like it's okay to tap out from like all the things that are exhausting your mental bandwidth, and just trying to enjoy something. It's fine. Like I really despise Disney. But, like, I'd be a real dick if I just sat here, if I went around every Discord I'm in, every time someone brings up a Disney movie they like, and I just start shitting on it. Like, it's different. I'm just trying to point out. And as an aside to that, like, we need to rethink what we believe criticism to be on the internet.
Yeah.
What I saw happen with the Sylvaneth Archer when it was released, which is where this all comes together. All these rants minus Metal Gear come together. No. If you say it like Raiden, it comes together. No.
Wait, what do I have to say? Like
I don't know. I don't know. When the Sylvaneth Archers got leaked, and like there is criticism that occurred of that rule, like, hey, we don't like this rule for this reason. We think something like this would be better. But then there are also takes like, this is ruining the game. It is an abomination. The Sylvaneth was better when they were dog shit. I would rather they be dog shit than this exists. Can people understand how that's not criticism?
You're talking about their ability to bounce out of getting charged.
Yes.
To me, that actually seemed like what the flying foxes should have been, if anything.
Yeah,
It's a more reasonable version of that.
right. And there's risk, and it doesn't work every time. Like
Yeah.
it's fine. Also, if you flank them, they can't reverse away. Because they can't move through the 3-inch spaces of something else. Like it's fine. You just have to
Also
counter.
the fact that don't they? What's their save again? Their 10 wounds on a
Yeah,
on like a
I don't care about the foxes to begin with because they're just like they're just cannonball. They're just catapult fodder and or getting spelled to death. Like I don't like I'm just gonna chain gun them with spells. Like I don't give a shit.
talking about the new archer guys.
Yeah, I know you're talking about the archer guys. Like
Okay.
like I just
Just
this is where Halo and I like are at our most similar with some of our some of our Warhammer takes. Like I'm just wired a little bit differently when it comes to this game. Like I have more of a curiosity to see stuff, and you're not going to hurt my feelings when a rule is like bent or weird or goes out of bounds. You're actually going to get the Thor seeing the Hulk moment from me. I'm just gonna go, yes! Like I get excited when I see weird shit, and I want to see how it works and plays on the table.
love weird rules.
Yeah, even if it's OP, even if it's busted, because nothing stays OP or busted. People scream too much on the internet for that to ever stay. Like, the next rule is already in the chamber, coming down the pipeline before this rule's even like in full circulation yet. It's I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is react less.
No, I think I will simply react harder.
Yeah, ooh, based. Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Double
Mephisto-
down.
Yeah, no, I like it. Well, see, if you go so hard in the paint, I gotta respect it at some point. I mean, that is an asterisk. If you make your entire identity being contrarian dipshit, so much so that any position somebody takes, you must default to being the opposite. Honestly, I'll respect your game. Like I'll just like respect. Like you have no actual beliefs of your own. You only hate things people love. Awesome. Honestly, like I don't know how you landed on this configuration as a human, and the amount of pity I have for you and your entire existence that you have no joy of your own, it just makes this funny to me, and like I respect you because like I don't know how you exist. It's kind of commendable. That's
Called being too angry to die, baby.
Yeah, too angry to die. Yeah, too huge to lose. Mephiston converted to an OBR lord. I mean, yeah. I mean, not Catacross. Disgusting. Mephiston as like Liege Cavalos or something could be pretty dope. Yeah, the dedication. Yeah, like if you go that hard in the paint to hating things, that's where like I do think it's funny when people like tee off on like a senseless rant about something. I'd still like see the Happy Gil. I know it's a bad example, but the Happy Gilmore scene where he just starts swearing at the ball just like incessantly, that's still a type of humor I love. Like that juvenile mad at thing humor. I get why the internet outrage merchant stuff sells. Like I get it. It's still funny to me. It's got its time and place is really all I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
a rant to surpass Metal Gear? Huh? Metal Gear? Lolly lule lo. Fucking Les enfants terribles. Fucking Revolver Ocelot.
Big shots.
Yeah.
More than enough to kill anything that moves. No, wait, it was 12 shots because he had 2.
Yeah. Yep. There's a big pile of Simmer the Hell Down sitting right there. Everyone is welcome to take as much as they want.
The memes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think we kind of hammered on all of that. The last thing I kind of led with it. I want to finish with it, which is you write good fiction, and folks should read the good fiction.
Okay.
So I just had to reset that real quick.
Thank you.
Anything we've talked over, anything you didn't get to talk about long enough that you'd like to kind of revisit here real quick before we sort of head into the final soapbox?
Ugh. I really can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Right on. This is Saturni Rose. Here is a. If you're on our discords, you know her. Here's this. One of Saturnine stories. Otherwise, I think we got some shit pinned around in some of the discords.
I am also actually working on a sequel to that.
Excellent, excellent. Um,
I'm only 3 chapters in so far.
yeah.
But the planning doc has twice as many named characters. Why do I do this to myself?
Have you glanced down at the Milwaukee by Night Discord, perchance? Like, and just like clicked on the
Section?
locations or the NPCs section, and just saw how much crap I've written,
There's a lot, yes.
and that's not even all of it. That's just what I got out, like transcribed from my like notebook, like before the game went live. And now since the games went live, I've been in like triage mode, like just getting the next adventure going. And so like every now and then I add one new NPC. I'm like, oh crap, I finally have to use this NPC, and then like I'll add them in quick, um, or like a new location, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that's yeah. I think as a writer, I think we have a similar style where I over I back write like a ton. Uh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but then when it's time to write, like I don't necessarily use all that shit. It's just like because then it goes into like a sort of flying by the seat of my pants, like sort of like going with the flow style writing. But it allows me to like more naturally when I pull out one of my NPCs or when I pull from like I understand how that character would operate. I know where they are, and it lets me like just kind of naturally like have them live in the scene and in the world that I've already prepared and made. Um, is kind of my method. But I do write a lot of background stuff, and it looks like you're actually a little bit more deft hand in the finished product than I ever get to personally. So kudos. Um, so
I do have just a habit of, for some reason, ending up doing this. I do like every like year and a half, I find myself just sitting down and writing out a setting doc, or like at least starting one. I don't finish them all,
mhm.
but like I've got one here for like my two main ones here are one's like 80 pages long and the other's like 93.
Hmm.
I just tend to just do this for fun.
Hmm. I like making up worlds. Is like
Yes, it's fun.
yeah like I like making up worlds even if I don't ever tell a story about it. Like I like thinking about them and having them. Yeah. Yeah, this is a lot of work. Yeah. So the final soapbox. I have accidentally talked over you. I have accidentally ranted over you. This is your opportunity to
It's
abuse
your
my
show.
platform. This is your. I am giving you my digital soapbox. It is yours now. You can do with it what you will to get back at me and sort of end on your terms and strongly. It can be anything you wish to rant about. Uh, you know, nothing that gets me banned from Twitch or YouTube, obviously. But it can be something lighthearted. It can be, you know, something you want to, shout out. Whatever it is, this is your soapbox now. Last week, the guest talked about gardening. Previous weeks, we've had like rants about how cats are better than dogs, like shit like that. So,
Uh, uh, I didn't really like think about this that hard.
I warned you. I warned you it was going to happen.
You did warn me,
Yeah,
and I didn't care.
based.
If it came to me, it was gonna come to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No.
I'll just be boring and say trans rights.
I mean,
Well, I say boring. On the nose.
on the direct.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, how original. Oh, you have a character with pink and blue and white features. Who would have thought?
Mm. Plug your stuff. Do you do merchandise? Yeah, plug your stuff. Like where can people find you on the internet if they wish?
I don't have merchandise, but I mean, I have my Twitter account where I just retweet art all day and then occasionally like post some hot takes. I stream on Twitch actually sometimes.
There you
It's
go.
Oh crud. No. Here we go.
This is my handle. There. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my Twitch handle. I stream sometimes.
Right. And same for Twitter. That's just text. It's the same name. Um,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
fantastic. And Saturni's right. Trans rights are human rights. What you may not know is it is currently the fastest way to pipeline to fascism is if you're anti-trans. Like if you start clicking anti-trans content and anti-trans rhetoric, it is the fastest way to end up pure Nazi right now on the internet. There's a reason
Yeah,
that
like especially in places like TikTok.
TikTok, where the user agency is removed even more. Yeah, so it's if you don't think trans rights matter, uh, there's an entire very pernicious radical element of fascism out there that wants you to think they don't. So
Is nothing new.
no, no, it's
Time is a flat circle. History repeats.
I think they find ways to innovate on history though and remixes and stuff. It's
Fun, exciting new technology.
yeah, yeah.
Oh boy, man-made horrors beyond my comprehension.
So it is. I mean, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm gonna actually sort of plug the Trevor Project. I already gave my annual donation to them this month because I always, since I do Rantathon in July, I do a lot of like my mental health donations then. So during Mental Health Month, I actually donate personally to the Trevor Project. They're virtually the highest rated charity of their nature, specifically for trans kids. If you're looking for a charitable cause to donate to their chat gang this time of year, I highly recommend them. Specifically dealing with the higher levels of suicidal ideation with trans youths. They're quite good at it. There's a couple other programs if you're in the UK. I don't know them off the top of the head, but that's one I've personally vetted and I think I sent $30 this year, and then I sent $20 to abortion rights. So the charity spite. There we go. So yeah, if you're just looking at something,
Spite can be a powerful motivator.
it is. It is. Yeah. So yeah, I've enjoyed our conversation. All the rabbit holes.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's good to finally get to sort of talk to you in real time. Spite donations.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Do we have any like final statements that you want in the Raiden voice?
Can you do trans rights or humans rights in the Raiden voice?
Yeah, sure. Let me warm up the voice real quick.
It's true. Yeah, that is when most of like if the Patreon and or subscriber money doesn't end up like by impulse buying me a bunch of comics and or like dice and whatever or nail polish, it just ends up going to charity. Like it goes to mutual aid and
That
stuff.
comic doesn't know the voice.
Uh,
But to catch you up, I've been doing a Raiden impression basically,
yeah.
and it's kind of hard to do off the cuff. partially because I'm really tired right now. I'm not gonna lie, man.
I can sense you fading, which is why we moved into to close out. I know you had a long day today, so.
Long week.
Oof.
A long month. A long year.
Oh, yeah, I
A
know.
long life?
I know they just keep piling up, don't they? I hope you find some respite. I really do. Give yourself a break. Thank you for coming on tonight, rather last minute even. And
By all means. Okay, and I think I got it.
all right, all right.
All right. Trans rights are humans' rights.
Raiden would totally like. Raiden would totally like chop up some, fascist senators and fight for trans youths.
Parody non-actionable.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for coming on. If anyone wants to follow,
having me.
yeah, Saturni Rose, Saturni_Rose on Twitch, Twitter, and I mean you could.
You also have a Tumblr, but don't worry about that.
And y'all can obviously join us in Discord, where you can enjoy far deeper rabbit holes of conversation like this. So, yeah.
Wow.
Started playing Vermintide 2 again. Speaking of fascist senators, Vermintide 2, nice.
What the fuck is Goblin Mode?
Fantastic. All right, chat gang. You know this part. You are the show within the show, the reason I do this thing. Remember to drink your milk, pay your taxes, be excellent to yourselves, be excellent to each others, and we'll catch you next time.
Be hard.
Yeah, right on. And thank you so much for joining me tonight, Saturday. Almost.
Wow.
Almost. Good night, my friend.